So, tell me who you are. Are you the king of the Jews?
Are you asking? Or is it a question coming from others?
Are you a king? That's what your own people and chief priests tell me you claim to be.
My kingdom is not of this world. If it were, my servants would fight my arrest. My kingdom is from another place.
You are a king, man.
You say that I am a king. I have been born and come into the world to testify to the truth. Everyone on the side of truth listens to me.
Truth. What is truth?
Americans are dying nearly every day from opioid-related overdoses on the streets of Philadelphia's Kensington neighborhood. Struggling with opioid addiction, Anthony, who didn't give us his last name, says he's seen it firsthand.
I go down into like a track area to get high, and I found a guy down there. He's dead. Been down there for days. I mean, that's somebody's kid, that's somebody's father, that's somebody's brother.
America's opioid epidemic was fueled by the overprescription of pills like oxycodone.
Nowhere else in the world do they use opioids the way we do in America. We are 5% of the world's population. We use 85% of the world's opioids.
Drug overdoses are now the leading cause of accidental death in our country. And we want to help those who have become so badly addicted.
Government health officials say the goal is preventing new opioid addictions while helping those already hooked get long-term treatment for their disease.
Whether it's 90% plus of the world's opium supply, 90 fucking percent, that is a multi-billion-dollar business. And if you think these fucking industrialist cocksuckers that are running the world are gonna leave that money behind, you're fucking crazy. Dude, they've got United States Army troops guarding Poppy Field. There's fucking so much heroin there. I mean, it's incredible. The fucking brother of the president of Afghanistan, his brother was selling heroin and getting paid by the CIA. I mean, god damn it. Heroin is absolutely addictive, okay? People who try heroin get hooked. Heroin is everywhere, okay? So you need to sell it. Someone's selling it. Who's selling it? I don't know, but 90% of it comes from this one place where we have to be to save our freedom. You can't criticize it, because if you criticize it, you're a shithead. You don't appreciate the...
You know, it's a shame that nobody talks about Afghanistan anymore, considering how the war is far from over and remains the longest military quagmire in U.S. history. At this point, we should be asking ourselves a very important question. Bin Laden's dead and Afghanistan's apparently ready to police themselves, so why are we still there? See, aside from U.S. troops still occupying the country, there are over 100,000 private contractors in Afghanistan. And guess what? The Pentagon can't even tell us what the hell they're doing there. But this right here might give you a clue.
It is the most unintended and awkward consequence of our military offensive here in Afghanistan. The rout by our Marines of the Taliban from their former stronghold here in Helmand Province has put us in the weird position of being protectors of the largest crop of opium in the world.
Thanks, Geraldo. And guess what, guys? The Taliban had banned and almost completely eradicated opium in Afghanistan shortly before the U.S. invaded. Just look at these headlines. The corporate media was even lauding the Taliban's success. Fast forward to today, where over 90% of the world's heroin originates from the war-torn country. According to a report from the UN Office on Drugs and Crime, this year saw opium production surge to a record high. The report said that the harvest this May resulted in 5,500 metric tons of opium, 49% higher than last year, and more than the combined output of the rest of the world. Wow, that's a lot of heroin. So baseless rhetoric and propaganda aside, here's the cold, hard truth. This government is fighting a war on drugs worldwide, with millions of nonviolent drug users rotting away in prison. Yet on the other hand, the U.S. is at the very least nurturing the largest source of the deadliest and most addictive drug on the planet. So you tell me what the occupation of Afghanistan is really about.
Doctor, can we talk about cancer a little bit? Various types out there. What are some of the things that you've seen in terms of your patients, and what some of the things that you've been able to do?
A better thing to talk about in relationship to, well, I will talk about that, right? A better thing to talk about, however, is the relationship between profits and cancer in the United States. There was a study that was published, I believe it was in 1994. It was a 12-year program, 12-year study. They looked at adults who had developed cancer as an adult, not childhood cancer, but adult cancer, right? And this is the main types of cancer that we get here in the United States. They did a meta-analysis of these people all around the world who developed cancer as adults for 12 years and were treated with chemo. And they looked at the results. And they published the results in the Journal of Clinical Oncology. And the results? 97% of the time, chemotherapy does not work. 97% of the time, it doesn't work. So why is it still used? It's one reason, and one reason only: money. If you go to a medical doctor, an MD, with a sinus infection, and that doctor prescribes an antibiotic, he gets no financial kickback. Now, if he prescribes 5,000, of that antibiotic in 1 month, the drug company that makes it might send him to Cancun for a conference, right? Mm-hmm. But he gets no direct remuneration. It's not with chemotherapeutic drugs. It's different. Chemotherapeutic drugs are the only classification of drugs that the prescribing doctor gets a direct cut of. So if your doctor prescribes chemotherapy for you, here's how it goes, more or less. The doctor buys it from the pharmaceutical company for $5,000, sells it to the patient for $12,000, insurance pays $9,000, and the doctor pockets the $4,000 difference. And there ought to be a law. The only reason chemotherapy is used is because doctors make money from it. Period. It doesn't work 97% of the time. If Ford Motor Company made an automobile that exploded 97% of the time, would they still be in business? No. This is the tip of the iceberg of the control that the pharmaceutical industry has on us. Most people have no idea of this at all. Now, I wrote a book. It's called The MD Emperor Has No Clothes, right? In my book, I have a bulleted list of 10 questions that every cancer patient should ask their doctor. 10 questions. I've had patients kicked out, literally, kicked out of the oncologist's office because the doctor was PO'd that the patient was asking him these questions. And these are just common sense questions. Cancer treatment in the United States, we have lost the war on cancer. We have lost the war on cancer. Why? Because cancer is not a reductionistic phenomenon. Cancer is a holistic phenomenon. And when you try to bring a reductionistic methodology like drugs and surgery to bear on a holistic phenomenon, you will completely miss the boat each and every time. You cannot do it. Medical doctors are like colorblind art critics. They can see that that's a boat. They can see the black and white outline, but they're completely blind to all of the colors and textures that make up the substance of the thing. It's no difference with cancer. The reason that people get cancer in the United States and the reason that we have completely lousy outcomes is because medical doctors are driving the research bus. When women get together and do a 5K run for breast cancer, all of that money, do you think any of that money goes to nutritional research? Do you think any of that money goes to homeopathic research or acupuncture or traditional Chinese medicine or naturopathic research? No. All of it goes to drugs and surgery, which do not work. Now, why aren't those women running for selenium? If every girl in this country took 200 micrograms of selenium, in one generation we'd eliminate breast cancer by 82%. That's a big number. Why aren't we doing that? Because medicine in the United States is a for-profit industry, and most people are completely unaware of this, and most people bow down to the altar of MD-directed high-tech medicine at their own demise.
This is outrageous. So I'm going to go ahead and prepare you to, well, I mean, I can't prepare you for it. I mean, these are school kids. And on a field trip, they took a trip to a mosque to where the children are bowing to Allah, to the Islamic God. And as the parents and teachers all allow this and the children laugh, they have absolutely no idea what they're subjecting themselves to. This is absurd, and it took place in Australia. I don't know if this is going on in the U.S. At all. But as you can see, I mean, they are bowing, submitting to the deity of Islam. If anybody doesn't find a problem with that, let me read this. These are from agnostics as well. Stop the Islamist, man, I'm sorry, this is so frustrating. Stop the Islamization of our nation. And the very reality that people in Australia actually have to send a letter to teachers, to schools, to exclude their child from visiting mosques and Islamic studies. That is absurd. I mean, look at this. Are you joking?
Well, Dr. Caroline Leaf joins us in the studio. She has a brand new book out, which I'm very excited about. Welcome.
Thank you. So good to be here. Thank you.
All right, the new book, Think and Eat Yourself Smart. I love it by the title already.
Good. So do I.
So you talk about in your book having real food, needing to eat real food. Tell us, what is real food?
Well, real food is the way God gave it to us, so it doesn't get fiddled with. So there's nothing wrong with food. It's what man has done to food. That's the issue. So things like the modern American diet it started around about 50 years ago, and that's when they started taking food and changing how they grow it, how the animals are raised, for profit, very profit-driven, bulk profit-driven. So diversity to monoculture, putting animals off the farms into concentrated animal feeding lots. So that's impacted the nutrition, the value you get, etc., etc. And then basically taking those products into the laboratory and then fiddling with them even more and adding chemicals. So by the end of the day, you are actually eating things that aren't food. They've been so distorted that you're eating food-like products that aren't giving nutrition to your body, that are actually creating the lifestyle diseases that we see rampant today. People are dying from preventable lifestyle diseases. In fact, the federal data that just came through between 2014 and 2015 just was released, saying that for the first time in decades, people are dying quicker than they should be. So there's been an increase in death rates instead of a decrease. The death rate's been decreasing for decades, for the first time ever. Or in decades it's increased, which they attribute to lifestyle diseases. So people's eating habits and their thinking habits. And the two are totally intertwined. So.
Wow. How does the layout of the modern supermarket play into all of this?
Well, it plays into everything. Looks all nice and shiny, and as you walk in, it's all designed to catch your eye. This is it, and there's a huge marketing impact where it's built into your memories through a lot of repetition. So it's all designed. Everything's very, very planned and organized to catch your eye, to make you very aware. A lot of repetition to build memories of brand recognition, pester power with little kids. They see it on TV. Kids are marketed to with no control, and these food products are increasing obesity and in young kids, and there's such a lot of negativity. So the supermarket is designed to catch your eye, really, really bad stuff close to the counters, with checkout, and everything at eye levels, like, grab quickly. The healthiest stuff is at the bottom. Generally the freshest stuff is on the outside, but fresh these days means nothing as well, because most of those vegetables and fruits have been grown with an IV of chemical substances, so you're not feeding your body. So for the first time ever in history, we have people, millions, not just a few, millions, almost close to 1 billion people that are starving and obese at the same time. So they're huge and starving.
Wow.
It's because that food doesn't give you nutrition. It's actually killing your body.
And why are the chocolates always on sale? We need to
organic chocolate's really good.
Is it? I've never had organic chocolate.
Oh my gosh, wait till you taste it. It's way, way superior in taste. And that's actually good for you. So, especially the different ways that they make it, like with coconut sugar and that kind of thing. It's amazing, and it's always a little bit more expensive, but you're getting nutrition from it. See, when you eat real food, you're not going to eat too much, you're going to eat enough, because you get satisfied from it. It's going to satisfy your body, whereas the modern American diet doesn't. It's been designed in the laboratories. They have laboratories, scientifically toxic use of science, where they design how can they overcome the biological limit of your stomach. So it's all designed.
Wow.
So your brain and everything. So how can we make more money out of you? That's what they say. So they design everything to overcome the hormones and the brain receptors and the brain circuits, so that you actually eat more of this bad food, which means they make more money. So real food, you'll eat the right amount. Modern American diet, you won't.
Wow. So you mentioned the cost briefly, and that's an argument that I hear a lot about. Healthy food is more expensive. Real food, as you're saying, or organic as well, is out of our price range. So what would you say to people who have that kind of mindset?
Well, I'd say that they need to revise it, because yes, it's expensive, but we vote with our forks. So the more of us that eat real food will bring down the prices. But at the end of the day, what is the real cost to your body with the health? So that food is doing nothing to your body. It's not doing any. There is no health. When you see fortified with vitamin D, it's not. That's vitamin D that's been decontextualized with vitamin C or whatever, and so that's not doing any good for your body. So eventually, the price you pay, and all the diseases and things, it's a lot more costly down the line. Also, you're going to eat less. So if you do the cost-to-cost budget, you'll actually, it's not that much more. You won't have as much waste. People buy in bulk because it's cheap, and you don't use it all, and you eat too much, and you have all that. So when you look at it correctly in perspective, you won't be spending that much more. You'll be much more selective about what you buy, what you eat, and you feed your body, as opposed to And then we vote with our fork. They chase the money.
Yeah.
The companies will chase money. So if people stop buying that and start buying from the local farmer and buying the healthy food, the demand increases and the price reduces.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
What would you say to people who feel like they're too busy to take the time to prepare food and fast food and junk food? It's just
Well, you get so much healthy fast food. First of all, you get really healthy fast food. Secondly, it's a mindset change. So the book's called Think and Eat Yourself Smart. My TV show, Think and Eat Yourself Smart, because you think first. So eating is 80% thinking, even higher. So the way that your emotional state, if you're too busy, etc., your body will not get nutrition out of it. So let's say you're eating really good healthy food, but you're eating on the run, you're eating rushed, you're worked up, you're upset, you're angry, any of those toxic emotions, your body actually can't digest the food properly. So the mindset's hugely important in the meal process. So we're in a lifestyle that's really, really busy. So my recommendation is don't eat when you're busy, rather wait. There'll be a time in your day where you can actually sit still and sit down and eat correctly so your body can actually benefit from that nutrition. Then you also won't be tempted to grab things on the side, and grab things on the quick and eat where your body just doesn't digest. So it's a complete mindset change, which is what I explain in the book, and I give 63 days to help with the mindset change. And
oh my goodness,
all based on the
I need to read this book over and over again.
This is Rev Michelle Hopkins.
Now you remember I told you about nanites in our food. I mentioned how the canned meat that I had used was sparking in the microwave. Well, here you see chopped onions and a hash brown. In the microwave. Just hash browns, just onions in that microwave. Just hash browns, just onions, nothing but onions and hash brown. That's it. Nothing but onion and hash brown.
Welcome to Food Investigations. This is Mike Adams, the Health Ranger with naturalnews.com. I'm the same guy that brought you the story about the fake blueberries in blueberry muffins and blueberry cereals. Well, today we're going to take a closer look at what's in your McDonald's food. I'm standing in the parking lot of a McDonald's restaurant in Austin, Texas, and we're going to order some chicken McNuggets and a Big Mac and put it under a high-powered microscope to take a really close look at what's in your food.
I'll take some chicken McNuggets and a Big Mac. And is that the only size McNuggets you have?
We got the 20.
Oh no, I don't think I can handle 20.
Well, that's the biggest.
I guess 10 is enough.
All right, we made it home, and now we're going to check out the chicken McNuggets with some safety gloves. These are the nuggets right here. You've seen these before because there are only 3 basic shapes. That right there is kind of scary. But now we're going to put them under the high-powered digital microscope and check out what's really inside chicken McNuggets. We began our investigation by looking at the surface of the chicken McNuggets, then zooming in to get more detail. At high magnification, we began to notice mysterious fibers across the surface, as well as some unusual color, such as this red color, which appears to be some sort of food coloring agent. We decided to dig deeper by opening the Chicken McNugget to find out what was inside. There, we began to see shapes reminiscent of an alien landscape. Nothing resembled chicken in my mind. Watch as we zoom in on this image. I've never seen chicken look transparent. With the help of the high-tech digital microscope at the Natural News Forensic Food Labs, we were able to alter the plane of observation even at high magnification, so we can see the texture of this Chicken McNugget landscape. The more we looked, the more seemingly strange things we began to discover across these Chicken McNuggets, including strange blue objects with fibers. We also found dark-looking splotches and weird shapes that raised questions. But by far the strangest things we found were unexplained fibers that appear to resemble hairs. All the hair-like fibers we found seem to be embedded in the mass of the McNugget. Here's another one with odd endings. And here's a third found next to some mysterious red coloring. These fibers intrigued me so much that I attempted to remove one of them. This is me using a pair of fine tweezers to try to remove this one embedded hair-like fiber. Here are some of the other scenes of what we found inside the Chicken McNuggets. We also located a green spherical object that actually looks like algae. Nowhere did we find anything that really looked like chicken. Here's what chicken looks like. We acquired this at a local Mexican restaurant that used real chicken, not processed chicken. Back to the Chicken McNugget. My advice is to look more closely at what you eat before you eat it, and ask questions about where your food really comes from and what's in it. You may be shocked to find you're eating far more than you bargained for.